Hello guys, this is me Simo Orahara, and in this video I will talk about the Bankai that did not appear in the last arc of the manga and now has the opportunity to appear in the new season of the anime in 2021. And it's clearly with the anime returning, we will see all the Bankai that appeared in the last arc, like Yamamoto's Bankai, Kyoraku and Kisuke, and as well as the rest of the other Bankai that appeared. But the anime is also a replaceable opportunity to see the Bankai of some characters, and I mean the characters that were supposed to release their Bankai in the last arc, but for some reasons it didn't happen. For example, Hirako's Bankai and Hisaku's Bankai. And the good thing here, the Bankai that I will talking about have already appeared in Bleach novels. I mean, neither Kobo nor the studio will need to think about the Bankai themselves. All they have to do is find a way to convey what is in the novel into the anime. Of course, in my opinion, some Bankais have more opportunities to appear in the anime than others. And I will start with the Bankai that have the lowest percentage of making it to the anime, but I really hope to be surprised and see this Bankai. Anyway, I will start with the 7th and the 8th Kenpachi's Bankai. And for those who don't know, the 7th and the 8th Kenpachi's Bankai were mentioned in the novel of Spirits Are Forever With You that published in 2012 at the beginning of the last arc. The events of this novel take place after the end of Aizen battle against Ichigo and before the beginning of the arc of Ginjo. And I have previously made videos about the 8th Kenpachi Asashiro Soya and the 7th Kenpachi Koyashiki. You can see them in details if you want. And I know very well that the events of that novel are somehow far from the last arc, but guys, as I said, we really need to see this legendary Bankais in the anime. For example, Naruto Shippuden anime adapted almost all the novels that were released about some manga characters, so why not do the same thing for Bleach? Especially since the novel speaks about one of the most distinctive points in Bleach, which is the subject of the Kenpachi. In the manga we only know that the first Kenpachi is Yachiro Unohana, and the 11th Kenpachi is Zaraki, and the 10th Kenpachi, I think we have just one scene about him in the manga. So this novel gave us a glimpse about the other Kenpachi. For example, the 7th Kenpachi Koyashiki and his relationship with Kyoraku, and also the novel gave us informations about his destructive Bankai, which is a great jar that comes out of the ground and eliminates everything, whether it's a friend or enemy, and also how his Bankai can only be released once every 6 months. Likewise, the novel includes a fight that took place between the 7th Kenpachi and Asashiro Soya, and by using his legendary Bankai, Asashiro killed the 7th Kenpachi and he became the 8th Kenpachi. And as I said before, the Bankai of Asashiro is amazing Bankai. It enables him to merge with anything in a wide area that is as large as the Serity, and with the merge he can control anything. But the ability of his Bankai goes up to merging with the living beings, where in his battle against the 7th Kenpachi Koyashiki, he used this exact ability to kill him. This was a sample summary of those Bankai. Therefore, I find that the anime is a good opportunity to get to know this personality of the 8th and the 7th Kenpachi, as well as their Bankai. Although, as I said, the probability of this happening seems weak, but just as Bleach anime returned after 8 years, everything is possible now. At least they can animate the novel as an OVA. But personally, I think that with the return of the anime, we will highly be able to see Hisaki and Hirako's Bankai. They also appeared in a novel, but in the novel of Can't Fear Your Own World that was published after the end of the manga. And only recently, Hirako's Bankai was introduced in the mobile game Bleach Brave Souls, and the same thing will happen with Hisaki's Bankai later. So why, in my opinion, is the possibility to see Hirako and Hisaki's Bankai in the anime so high? First, because they are two canon characters from the manga who appeared in the last arc, unlike Asashiro and Koyashiki, which appeared in some pages of the novel only. Second, there were several indications in the last arc that Hisaki could release his Bankai. For example, in the chapter 538, Kensei told Hisaki that it was the time for him to unleash his Bankai. Therefore, after the second invasion, there was some kind of expectations to see the Bankai of Hisaki, but it didn't happen. So the anime is a good opportunity to see his Bankai. As for Hirako, Hirako, in my opinion, his Bankai's ability, the thing that made him not able to use his Bankai during the events of the last arc, because of the ability of his Bankai that does not differentiate between a friend and enemy, and its effect is so global that it changes the concept of the enemy and the friend to everyone around him. So if he releases his Bankai and some Shinigamis happen to be next to him, they will fight each other. So I guess Kobo, and because to the lack of time, he couldn't find a switchable scenario for Hirako to release his Bankai. But in the anime, he can fix this. So what's left is how it will be done. In my opinion, there is two possibilities to see Hirako and Hisagi's Bankai. Either Kobo writes a special battle for Hisagi with one of the generator, so he uses his Bankai in one of the anime episodes. Likewise, sometime in the arc, Hirako takes advantage of his friends not being around him and releases his Bankai on some coincidences. Or there is the second possibility. After the anime reaches the chapter 684, then the studio will animate the events of the novel Can't Fear Your Own War. Why? Because the events of that novel take place after 6 months from the end of the war with the Quincy. Because as we know, the last 2 chapters had a time skip of 10 years, and I think the same thing happened with Naruto Shippuden the anime. They didn't adapt the chapter 700 immediately after the chapter 699, but they adapted some novels with a timeline before the events of the final chapter. And if Studio Pierrot is still the one who's gonna work on the final arc of Bleach, they also can do the same thing with the events of the novel Can't Fear Your Own War. And if these events of the novel are animated, several other things will be explained alongside with Hiraku's Bankai and Hisagi's Bankai, like the story of the Soul King and his origins, and also the 5 noble families. So that was for Hirako and Hisagi's Bankai. The anime is also a good opportunity for Kobo to show us Isshin's Bankai. In the flashback Everything But the Rain, we saw his Shikai and also a glimpse into how his Bankai works. And Kobo unfortunately did not give Isshin any battle in the last arc, although Isshin is a strong and important character, so I hope Kobo does something about this. And also for the Zero Squad, we all know that the Zero Squad among the frustrating things in the last arc, except for Ichibi, I might even say Nimaya, Cringy and Hikofuni, we have seen almost nothing about them in terms of fights. So I wish that Kobo would do something about the Zero Squad. I wish we could see a new fight of Cringy and Hikofuni so that they can unleash their Bankai. Ichibi released his Bankai in front of Yuhabach. As for Nimaya, frankly, he's the one who created the Zanpakuto, so I don't think he needs a Bankai. And who knows, maybe Nimaya had his own development other than a Bankai. As for Yukitake, I find it unlikely to see his Bankai even in the anime, because Kobo already linked him to the right hand of the Soul King, so I find it difficult for Kobo to change something on the Okitake side, unlike other characters. Finally, there is Aizen. I have already made a video about the Bankai that didn't witness in the manga, and one of those Bankai that I spoke about them was Aizen's Bankai. But after reading some comments on that video about Aizen's Bankai, I really thought about it. I think that Aizen has reached a stage of power in which he no longer needs a Bankai at all, especially after he merged with the Hyokyoku. So I think that Aizen no longer needs a Bankai, especially if it only increases the power of Kyuka's Weigetsu, and if that's the case, then it will not add much to his power. So guys, as a recap, I really hope that Kobo will take this advantage of this great opportunity, the return of the anime, to rewrite some parts of the arc, because frankly guys, the final arc has many plot holes and many uncompleted fights and secrets, like the flashback of 1000 years ago, what happened between Yamaji and Yuhabach, and also the deal with the Soul King and some generator that didn't got a good fight, like Hashvald. So the anime is the last chance to fix that. Maybe I'm asking too much, but I hope that the producers gave enough budget to make these changes. And above all of that, I hope that Kobo still has the will and the ambition to fix the final arc, at least finds a way to convey those Bankai in the new season of the anime. So guys, see you in my next video.